What if I told you the secret to winning at life isn't working harder, it's caring less? The moment you stop bending over backwards for approval, stop stressing over every little opinion, and stop chasing validation, you unlock a level of freedom and power most people only dream about. Living like you don't give a damn isn't just an attitude. It's the ultimate life hack that makes success, confidence, and peace effortless. Ready to discover why giving zero fucks is the smartest move you'll ever make? Let's dive in. When you stop chasing approval, something shifts. You no longer shape yourself to fit expectations that were never yours to begin with. You stop performing, stop filtering, stop editing who you are to be palatable. You begin to operate from a place of authenticity, and that's where real power comes from. Approval is a silent prison, made of likes, nods, compliments, and forced smiles. It trains you to live small, to say what's safe, to avoid being too much. But when you stop caring about being accepted by everyone, you start attracting the right ones, the ones who resonate with your truth, not your mask. That's when you begin to live without the weight of other people's expectations, crushing your individuality. Freedom is not loud. It's a calm certainty that you don't owe anyone an explanation for existing as you are. When you drop the need to be liked, your decisions sharpen, your boundaries solidify. You say no without guilt, yes without fear. You stop overthinking every move, every word, every look. You move in your own rhythm, not theirs. And people notice. They feel the shift. They can't manipulate someone who's no longer hungry for applause. They can't guilt trip someone who's not performing for approval. That kind of presence shakes rooms, silences critics, and unnerves the insecure. Living like you don't give a damn doesn't mean being reckless. It means being real. It's not apathy, it's clarity. You stop caring about nonsense and start focusing on purpose. You understand that most people don't even know what they want from themselves, so why live by their script? You realize that freedom is not given, it's taken, by refusing to let the noise of the world drown out your voice. Approval is fickle. It shifts with trends, moods, and insecurities. One day you're praised, the next you're judged. But self-respect? That's solid. That's yours. When you live from that space, people either align or disappear. Both are blessings. Because now, you're not begging for space in rooms where you don't belong. You build your own. And in that space, you become magnetic. Not because you're trying, but because you're real. When you stop giving a damn about what people expect, you start giving a damn about what you are. That's when life bends. That's when freedom begins. Confidence isn't something you build brick by brick. It's something you unlock the moment you let go of the need to impress. The world teaches you that confidence comes from having more validation, more attention, more achievements. But the truth is, confidence comes when you start subtracting. Subtract the fear of judgment. Subtract the pressure to be perfect. Subtract the obsession with being liked. What's left is raw, unfiltered presence. And that's where real confidence lives. You don't need to become someone else. You need to stop pretending you're not already enough. The loudest confidence isn't found in shouting or showing off. It's in the calm, grounded energy of someone who doesn't flinch when they're doubted. It's in the eyes of a person who knows who they are, even if no one else claps for them. Confidence is an armor. It's the freedom to not need one. The most powerful people aren't the ones screaming for attention. They're the ones so secure in their identity. They don't need to prove anything to anyone. They walk into a room and don't shrink, don't puff up. They just exist fully. And that's magnetic. You stop asking, am I good enough? Because that question dies the moment you stop performing for the outside world. The approval you use to chase starts feeling cheap. You realize it was never about being good enough for them. It was about being honest enough with yourself to stop hiding. And when you stop hiding, you stop hesitating. You speak with more conviction. You move with more clarity. You act without waiting for permission. True confidence isn't created. It's revealed. It's been buried under years of conditioning, comparison, and criticism. But once you stop giving a damn about looking perfect, you start showing up powerful. Flaws don't scare you. Failure doesn't define you. Rejection doesn't derail you. Because your worth was never up for debate. It was just waiting to be claimed. When you let go, you level up. You stop watering yourself down to fit into spaces that weren't built for you. You stop editing your personality to avoid discomfort. You become bold, not because you learned how to be loud, but because you finally got quiet enough to hear your own voice and loud enough to use it. That's the shift. That's the moment everything changes. Not when you get better, but when you stop begging. Confidence is remembering who you are when the applause stops. Confidence is what remains when all the filters drop. Confidence is unlocked, not earned, by finally letting go. Drama can't survive in the presence of detachment. When you stop emotionally investing in chaos that doesn't belong to you, everything gets quieter, clearer, and more controlled. People thrive on reaction. They feed off energy, especially when it's emotional, volatile, or defensive. But when you stop giving them that reaction, the power dynamic shifts. The chaos loses oxygen. Arguments die mid-sentence. Manipulation falls flat. Gossip becomes irrelevant. That's what happens when you emotionally detach. You stop handing out access to your peace like it's free. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to correct every lie, chase every rumor, or win every debate. The moment you stop engaging with the nonsense, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your mind. You realize how much of your life was spent inside battles that had nothing to do with your purpose. Just distractions dressed up as obligations. Drama only works when you take the bait. When you refuse to bite, it unravels. Being unbothered isn't weakness. It's tactical. It means you've chosen peace over pride, clarity over confusion. Not because you're afraid to fight, but because you understand most fights are beneath you. There's power in restraint. There's strength in silence. There's dominance in not reacting. When people can't provoke you, they can't control you. And when they can't control you, they lose access. That's when the boundaries become real. Not because you built a wall, but because you stopped opening the door. Drama preys on emotional availability. It needs you to care more than you should. It needs you to defend your name, prove your point, or clap back to stay alive. But when you detach, you cut the supply line. You send a message without saying a word. This doesn't move me. That's a level of calm that rattles the insecure. That's a level of discipline most can't reach. You don't lose sleep over nonsense anymore. You don't get pulled into petty games. You stay grounded, centered, and unmoved. That's the win. Letting go doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't feed. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about refusing to nurture drama with your time and emotions. Your energy is sacred. Your attention is currency. And once you realize how expensive drama really is, you stop paying for it with your peace. You don't need the last word. You don't need to be right. You just need to protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. Energy returns the moment you stop living for other people's expectations. Every time you twist yourself to fit a version of who they think you should be, you drain a piece of your power. Every forced yes, every fake smile, every time you hold back your truth just to stay agreeable, those are withdrawals from your internal bank. And eventually, you run low. Not because you're weak, but because you're constantly spending energy on the illusion of perfection. The more you try to keep up appearances, the more exhausted you become. But when you let go of those expectations, when you stop trying to meet invisible standards, you instantly reclaim the energy you've been bleeding. You weren't born tired. You were made tired by the weight of people-pleasing. Try to be everything to everyone is a losing game. You lose your focus, your momentum, your direction. But the moment you say, I'm done performing, something shifts. You start waking up with more clarity. You stop second-guessing your every move. You make decisions without the mental tug-of-war. You realize you never needed permission to live on your own terms. That's energy most people never tap into. Not because it's unreachable, but because they're afraid to disappoint others. But the real betrayal is when you disappoint yourself to keep others comfortable. Letting go of expectations isn't rebellion, it's liberation. You're not being selfish by choosing your own standard. You're being responsible. You're taking ownership of your time, your purpose, your energy. The world will try to guilt trip you into conforming. They'll label you as cold, arrogant, distant. That's fine. Let them misunderstand. Let them call it what they want. You call it alignment. You call it breathing again. You call it finally showing up for yourself without apology. When you no longer carry the weight of proving yourself, your shoulders straighten, your voice steadies, your pace quickens. Expectations are heavy because they're often based on fear, not yours, but theirs. Their fear of being judged, of not fitting in, of you outgrowing a version of you they're comfortable with. But you weren't put here to live safely inside someone else's box. You were built to expand, to evolve, to outgrow anything that dims your fire. And every time you let go of who you're supposed to be, you get closer to who you actually are. That's where the energy rush comes in. That's when you stop surviving and start moving with purpose. You're no longer tired. You're just done pretending. In a world where everyone is scrambling to prove themselves, trying harder, pushing more, and seeking constant validation, the real power lies in stepping back and not playing their game. When you stop chasing approval, you stop reacting to every little thing, and suddenly you're operating on a whole different level. Control doesn't come from being the loudest or the most aggressive. It comes from mastering your own detachment and refusing to be pulled into distractions. When you don't engage in an exhausting race for attention, you gain clarity and calm that others lack. You become the person who moves with purpose, not urgency, and that alone sets you apart. Choosing not to play means you're not bound by their rules, their expectations, or their drama. You see the game for what it is, a series of moves designed to manipulate emotions and control outcomes. But by refusing to participate, you take away the fuel that powers it. People who thrive on conflict, competition, and chaos lose their grip when you maintain your distance. You don't need to be involved to influence the outcome. Your strength is in your silence, your indifference, your unshakable presence. That kind of control isn't about dominance through force. It's dominance through refusal. When you're the one who's unbothered, who doesn't sweat the small stuff or overreact to provocations, you hold the power to set the tone. Others will try to bait you, pull you in, and provoke a response, but your refusal to engage is disarming. It's like water that doesn't respond to rocks thrown into it. Calm, steady, unbreakable. That peace becomes your weapon, and the chaos of others becomes irrelevant noise. Being in control means knowing which battles to fight and which to ignore. It means conserving your energy for what truly matters, not wasting it on the futile fight for approval or dominance in petty games. The greatest power move is to be free. Free from the need to prove yourself, free from the chains of external validation, and free from the exhausting demands of constant performance. This freedom allows you to operate from a place of strength rather than reaction. It lets you think clearly, act intentionally, and live authentically. People notice when you're that person who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't bend to the whims of others, who stands firm without needing to shout or prove. That presence commands respect naturally, without a word. Control the game by not playing it. When you refuse to be a player in the emotional battles and power struggles of others, you create your own space, a space where your peace is non-negotiable and your focus is untouchable. That space is where true power lives. It's where you rise above the noise, where you become untouchable, and where your life is ruled by your own rules, not theirs. In that space, you don't just survive, you thrive. At the end of the day, living like you don't give a damn isn't about being careless or reckless. It's about reclaiming your power by letting go of what doesn't serve you. It's about cutting through the noise, silencing the critics, and choosing your peace over approval. When you stop caring about what others think, you stop living on their terms. And that's when real freedom begins. So drop the weight of unnecessary expectations. Embrace your unapologetic self. And watch how effortless life becomes when you stop giving a damn.